I thought carnivore was going to be the magic diet, the magic pill to fix all health issues, to fix specifically inflammatory joint issues I've got called ankylosing spondylitis. Carnivore, baby. Good. I thought it was going to be the magic thing. I thought all I needed to do was to stick to a carnivore diet for a good amount of time and all the problems will be gone and magic things will happen. I was ready. I'd taken photos. I'd tracked everything down, got my little tracker ready, and I was like, right, this is going to fix it. And as you can tell by the title of the video, it didn't. / just the 3 weeks of trying it then told me what I needed to know and then pushed me towards the area I always thought I needed to go down, and that's focusing on the gut. And carnivore and focusing on the gut aren't the same things at all, as I'd go on to learn more about. I thought my idea was, and the idea with most people when they're focusing just on diet, is removal, and foods that are bad need to be taken away. Now that was the approach I've always taken, and it did work quite spectacularly for me back in 2020 when I suddenly shifted from eating standard food and never thinking about diet towards the AIP diet. And I've made loads of videos about this and how this made a big difference. So I thought if I got those results on AIP, then you can only imagine what the results will be with carnivore, because I look back at AIP and it's I don't think it's the most effective at all. I think you're missing a few key links, and yeah, I just think there's better things in AIP. So I was thinking, and with my approach being there's reductions better, less is more. I was thinking, right, you just remove everything I'm going to be eating, meat, because I'm great with meat and most people are. Everything I'm going to be eating is fine. So I went meat and salt only, not even a herb, not even a little bit of basil or like parsley. Meat and salt, no spices, no sauces, no nothing. And I did it for pretty much 3 weeks straight. The years prior to carnivore, I was on and off dieting, pretty much jumping between Paul Saladino's animal-based diet, which is meat and fruit, / a bit AIP, but very much high meat and fruit diet. I was on and off dieting, though I wasn't perfect. It was like 80-90% of the time, which again isn't ideal, as I've found once I've gone fully focused and targeted diet and not coming off it. I realized that is a recipe for okay results, which is way better than what I was getting, but it is the recipe for okay results. And I'd also look back and think that that diet actually isn't right for what I was trying to do. As I learn more about gut health and experience the differences, it's like actually that amount of fruit, sugar and starches still just were always going to leave me struggling with the differences, the changes I needed to make for my gut. So I start carnivore. The initial feedback is great, actually. I thought I'd really struggle with the keto flu, with the transition, with the getting off the sugars and getting off carbs. Basically, I thought there'd be a big transition, like a lot of pain, and there wasn't that much. There was bits of nausea here and there, where I thought maybe this is like obviously the carb withdrawal and the switch into the ketones for fuel. So I had a bit of that, but really was fine and stuck to it quite easily. The best thing I saw straight away was actually my sleep improvement. All of a sudden I was sleeping through the night, and also no stomach issues as well. But the big one, joint pain, which was quite bad before starting carnivore, didn't change at all, which was quite upsetting, to be honest, because I thought, wow, why has this not even dropped off slightly? The main reason I'm doing the carnivore diet is to help with this inflammatory joint issue, and it wasn't budging at all, not even a slight drop off. But I should say there were benefits. And again, for anyone thinking of, the carnivore diet's brilliant for those that want to learn about what foods can do, and perhaps I think any diet is great. So I'm not trying to dissuade someone from not doing carnivore, trying it for themselves. So the initial results were great in the first week or two, apart from the joint pain, which is the main reason I was trying to do this sort of diet. So we get to 2 weeks in, and yes, sleep is still good, but now I start to really see drops in energy, drops in focus, just feeling sluggish and tired. And I'm doing this really well. I love meat and I prep the meals brilliantly. I'm eating tons of fat. I know how to do it. And I still was just feeling rough. And like I said there, the joint pain was still really bad. Wasn't budging at all. So obviously I know the answers to this. I know more than anyone. I need to do it for longer. I need to stick to it for a month or two and then see. It could just be keto flu. It could be transitioning to fats over carbs. I understand all that. But I think the point I'm trying to make is more the journey in my mental space from thinking, actually, I don't think this is the answer. I know I should stick to it for longer to give it a proper test, but I just had this feeling of like, I don't think this is the right way. And that's when I started to think about going on the gut health route, as is just eating meat the answer to fix what the root cause of the issue, which I think is my gut and the state of my gut, and perhaps the state of my overall systems that have taken a hit for however long, or for the bacterial reasons that I would later learn about. So it was kind of the mental thing that taught me, like, actually, no, this isn't the answer. We get to the third week and I'm having these thoughts and I'm like, actually, I'm not doing carnivore. I need to add some other foods in because I don't think this is the answer. Maybe there is a middle route. So I went back to a animal-based kind of, but way more restrictive. It's just a carnivore with a few foods. And this is where I started to notice how removal on its own is not the answer. In a small example, but what I'd basically done, I'd had a few cacao balls, so just good cacao powder. Cacao balls with like coconut oil and a tiny bit of macadamia and fruit. I was completely floored. Joint pain kicked off massively, and sleep, I was up through the night. Almost like there was an issue there, and I'd just been carnivore for 3 weeks, and I just add a little bit of cacao in, and floored, joint pain completely flaring up, can't sleep. And that was the first one. And the second one, the following weekend, I think, joint pain just started to settle again after that full-on week it took. And then coconut flour, I think I had in something like a coconut flour, maybe like a paleo cake. Again, completely floored. And it got me thinking, I can't be this responsive to these foods. What's going on? This can't be right. And also, how long would I have to stick to carnivore to then actually be able to eat other foods, eat a few other foods? Because that's not how I want to live going forward, is just meat forever. And if I even sniff a coconut or, God forbid, a tiny bit of dark chocolate, I'm floored. I was thinking that there is more to this. There surely is more to this. You've heard it all. You've seen all the stories and you're thinking carnivore is the cure-all. There is nothing better. I've taken away all the issue foods. My body will heal naturally and there won't be any inflammation. And that just wasn't the case. And that is why I transitioned to focusing on the gut and going down the route of gut health. And not just gut health, but gut repair as well. So I've talked about this in other videos and there's a lot to it, but it's focusing all on the gut and actually rebuilding your gut. You might have heard of leaky gut, effectively trying to rebuild that, as well as all the systems and functions within the gut, trying to get them all working properly and help it out with the bacterial imbalances, which, having done gut tests and stool tests myself, the balance really wasn't great. There was lots of negative gram bacteria that I didn't want there, and low in the good bacteria that I'd really want. It was all over the place. And a bit of carnivore, a bit of restrictive eating wasn't going to shift this whole balance. And even if it was, I wasn't willing to spend the months, if not years, to allow my body to do it naturally, whether that even would happen or not with maybe the condition and state that my gut was in. So the gut health, gut repair route took me down a different diet, and I describe it more like a low starch, low FODMAP, but still very much animal based, about 50% fat. So pretty low carb still, but not completely low. No sugar, no fruit, and good gut friendly salads, vegetables, low starch. The foods that are all looking to allow my gut to change, allow my gut to rebalance, and to give the supplements that I would then start taking a lot of the chance and the time and the space to be able to work their magic pretty much. So I've gone from only meat and nothing else to a slightly more varied diet, still very meat based, but now a hell of a lot of supplements and a big protocol to follow. So I'm now on this gut health path, and I've started taking a fair amount of supplements. And 3 weeks into that, we could say, compared to the 3 weeks of carnivore, miles difference. And I guess, obviously, I'm not meant to feel miles difference in the first 3 weeks. It's actually a longer process, as everything is. But even if we just take the 3 weeks versus 3 weeks, way better. Everything was way better. The joint pain was down, which is the big one. Everything else was improving, and my energy was fine. I felt like I could stick to the diet. I felt like it's something that isn't just like, oh my God, when am I going to be stopping this? It's like I can do this. This is pretty easy. This is a nice balance of foods. I feel full. I feel like I've got energy, and the inflammation, the joint pain is dropping off, and I know the path that I'm going on, and this is something that I can stick to for a long time. So the point of this video is, for those that haven't seen my journey and seen my other videos, is if you're thinking of carnivore, if you're thinking of a really restrictive diet and you're thinking food is the only answer to health problems, gut problems, then I would think again. And rather than thinking of a foods list of good and bad, think of your gut and more of what can I do to have a gut or create a gut that can be as healthy as possible and allow my body to be as healthy as possible. And then what foods allow that. Supplements are pretty essential for this. Like if you look at most of the world's soils are deficient in zinc, along with many other things. And the world we live in, you can't get the amount of certain things in food. You just can't. That's just a fact. And then added to how there are many things that we can take that make a big difference to the gut microbiome, to certain bacteria, to the gut lining. There's things that can make a huge difference, and that's where supplements can come in. And I wouldn't just go the diet route for those that are thinking of it and thinking, to be fair, I was thinking of going carnivore because I've heard all these great things. Give it a go. There's no issue. You might learn a lot from it and then go down a different route. But I would say you're going to get better results, way more likely to get better results if you take a wider view and a longer term view of how do I rebuild a better gut and a better functioning body, rather than just how do I just remove all foods that could be causing a problem and we'll just deal with the future when the future comes, as to can I stick to this, or what happens if I try to add these foods back in. Because I think if you've got to a certain level of gut health and gut state, carnivore isn't going to help repair that. And there's a fair few studies that show that carnivore can actually make certain intestinal epithelium cells worse and function worse, which is not what we want. So you might reduce all the inflammatory load, the amount of inflammation in the system, which helps, but you're not actually helping your body rebuild and helping certain cells regenerate that are going to completely make your life way easier and make everything function better. Health issues, health problems can drop away then, and your body can actually look after itself rather than needing to be running on just beef and salt. And that's the only way you can actually walk or not have horrendous stomach pain. That's a rough way to live. That is a rough way to live. So I hope this video helped. If you've had a go at any of this, if you've given carnivore a go or gone down a gut health route, or you've tried vegan or whatever else, let me know. I'm interested. And if you've got any questions, drop in the comments. Yes. See you in a bit.